Welcome to the Wolf's Den Podcast, the podcast for gamers, to gamers, and about gamers, and will no longer be available after this one. So the reason why the title is This Is Goodbye is because, for one, I am giving up the podcast. Now, you guys can see behind me right here, it's Halloween and stuff like that. I do stream on Twitch and TikTok now, as well as post on a semi-regular basis short videos on TikTok as well as YouTube Shorts, so if you guys still want to find me, you guys know where you guys can go. It's the same as my name. It's Tyler McD65 all over. But let's just get right into why I'm giving up the podcast. And one of the main reasons is because of time. I don't relatively have a whole lot of time, especially with work and stuff like that. I'm a dad, a husband. So I need to stop trying to dance around to find time to record a podcast when I have a set schedule when it comes to streaming, and as well as the time that I actually take to edit TikTok videos and stuff like that. I do have much more plans that I want to do when it comes to Modern Warfare 2 dropping as well as Warzone 2 dropping. So essentially, I'm ending the podcast to try and find a better schedule for other things. It started this podcast not thinking, that I would do anything with it. I didn't even think I would make it this far, going this long and stuff like that. So I kind of just felt like, let's push a barrier. Let's find something. And then eventually it got to be to the point of, okay, doing a regular, interview with people on a regular basis just wasn't always going to be the best thing, because now I'm struggling to find people to interview, and then our times were always messed up. We were trying to do this and that. Okay, now we got to try and figure out the best time for everybody. And it just didn't seem to work. So I decided, okay, you know what? We're going to get rid of the live podcasts, and I'm going to start doing weekly recordings. I'm going to do weekly posting. And then my son was born, and he's now 7 months old. I took a lot of time away from doing the podcast because I wanted to focus on that, try and also make sure I get some sleep and stuff like that. But as we came back to that, I was like, you know what? I'm doing excellent doing this. I like the recording, but I absolutely miss bringing on guests. So I decided, all right, I'm going to take a whole month away. I'm going to record quite a few podcasts with some people, and we're going to just advance on from there, and we'll also continue to do, the me doing it solo, bringing stuff up, like, Twitch has had their problems. There's been drama from Twitch streamers and stuff like that. I wanted to talk about all that. But at the same time, I just kept thinking, since my last recordings, I don't think I'm going to get much farther into doing this at all. Because let's face it, I'm no angel. People like to bring up issues of other content creators, like, for example, Nadia. Everybody accusations on her and stuff like that. Do I think she VPNs? Yes. Do I think she walls? No. Do I think she aimbots? No. But it doesn't matter. People are going to hear what they want to hear, and people are going to think what they want to think, and it could bring good things or bad things. It doesn't matter. But essentially, if I was to bring it up here, it'd be in one ear, out the other. That's exactly what would happen. So I'm not gonna try and just sugarcoat everything. I speak my mind 100%. It doesn't matter if you like it or not. I don't care, because for one, I do this for free, and quite frankly, if I want to continue doing something, why not eliminate the things that you do for free? And that way you can try and actually grow and continue to try and make money somewhere else. Especially in this world, this is what it's all about. It's about trying to make money. It's all about trying to, what can you do? But I don't get paid a lot at all. And that's all through streaming. Everything's through streaming. and it's the donations of someone else. But in the way for me to continue to do what I do, I have to reinvest that. I don't get to just keep that money for myself and stuff like that. There's been only 3 times in the last 2 years now that I've actually used that money not in content creating. 3 times. And I've had to pay bills. In fact, I didn't even make last Twitch payout for the first time in over a year. Was the last time that I did not make the Twitch payout. Well over a year. So I have to think on what is going to be better for me in terms of time, but I also need to try and get some sleep and stuff like that. So me trying to focus my ambitions in content creating and streaming need to be more of a focus than trying to actually put time and effort into thinking of a podcast, because then you start to try and intertwine everything into one situation or at one time, and it can actually cause a burnout and it can actually cause problems. So with everything that's going on, I will be ending the podcast here. This is the last one. I just want to thank you guys who have listened all the way from Norway, Germany, Finland, Russia, the UK. Yes, I know you guys are still having your problems, but you know what? You guys are still listening, and I do appreciate every single one of you guys, no matter what. Okay? It's not about politics. This is about bringing people together. What else? Canada, Mexico, even Brazil. I've had people from other countries. And to be quite honest, you know, some of you guys have actually reached out to me to say thank you for at least bringing something to an attention and making a podcast that they felt were in line with what they felt. But it also always showcased other content creators. So, I mean, from Savage Orange, Sadie's, Vesme, Creator. Ah, man, that was a fun time. Dirty Max and I actually connected and had face-to-face conversation for the first time in a year and a half because of this podcast. Let's see, Swishy, Shadow Flame, Shadow Beast. We've had My Name Itchy here as a guest when Dirty Max was here, and Vector and other people. I've had UDG on the podcast. I've had Tengu Matt, NorCal members Scotty, Rash the Smash. You know, honestly, it was nothing but a great time doing this podcast with everybody. You know, probably one of my favorite podcasts was definitely with Raceboy, because for one, he spoke as himself and put himself out there, something that he's not used to doing. And honestly, I can't ever thank Raceboy for at least just coming on here and having a good time with me, you know. And Dank Newbie being on here, you know, and actually, you know, he was so faceless for so many years until he started streaming. And I was able to actually finally bring him on. And this was a work in progress for over a year of trying to get him onto this podcast. And honestly, it's you know, a lot of work and time and effort has gone into this podcast. You know, I've put money that I didn't have into actually making the podcast. You know, from making the Anchor channel to starting it up on Spotify and then YouTube channel, you know, its own Twitter. It's got its own graphics, like, you know, the graphics right here. Well, that's not it. I don't know where my graphics are. This is it right here. Here's my graphics. I paid to have this made. I paid and have the rights to that logo right there. And on top of it, we've had, you know, a partnership with Skull Bash, you know, with the podcast, you know, so I'm going to have to talk to him. That's my buddy Steve. My buddy Steve is the one that owns Skull Bash clothing. And now I got to talk to him and say, hey, podcast is done. This is it. Nobody else knows that this is happening except for me and my family, and now you guys that are listening. And as soon as you guys see the tweet, or if you guys heard the tweet, or not heard, but saw the tweet saying, this is it, I'm literally just going to post it on my personal and on the podcast Twitter saying, this is it. That's all it's going to say. From there, It's up to you guys to see what it actually says. And I hope you guys have made it this far. We're 10 minutes into this podcast. So this is going up on the YouTube channel. You guys are going to be able to see this on Spotify. You guys are going to also be able to listen to it wherever you guys can get your podcast from, whether it's Breaker, Radio Public, or wherever. Is there a chance that I might bring the podcast back? Yes. There might be an opportunity that I do bring the podcast back. When will I bring that back? I don't know. You know, everything's so up in the air now because of me deciding to end it. But if maybe, just maybe, I get a little bit farther into my content creating career and actually do a little bit more and do a little bit better, there's going to be an opportunity to bring the podcast back, because I've talked to a couple people that do podcasting full time who only post 2 or 3 podcasts a week, and that's it. And it's literally their full-time job. They're like, podcasting is one of the hardest things to get into. Why? Because there's over 1 billion podcasts out there. There's a new podcast that is created every 2 seconds. A brand new podcast is posted. Brand new for the first time ever. Every 2 seconds. So the ones that you see that are big and popular and people actually enjoy listening to, you know, that aren't streaming out of their fucking basement or whatever like this, they're actually in a real ass studio. They have major backing financially. So other people are putting their money into the podcast. And it can take years for a podcast to even go from, you know, getting 10 to 20 listeners like I do to you have over 100,000 listens a podcast. It could take 4 to 5 years. And that's on top of having the financial backing, the marketing, and everything like that. These are people that actually have the money to actually do this kind of stuff. Those are the ones that actually make real money. So do I have the time and patience? I don't have the time. I do have the patience, but I don't have the time. And right now, at 28 years old, I'm still Twitch streaming after almost 5 years. I'm making content on TikTok and YouTube as in short forms now instead of long forms on YouTube. But I'm also a father and a husband, like I said. So it is time for me to hang it up here, guys, honestly. And I just don't know. From everything, it has been nothing but a blessing to be able to say, I created a podcast, people listened, people liked it, and people reached out to me in other countries that had never heard of me ever before. They found me because of the podcast. Honestly, you guys, thank you guys so much. I hope you guys find me on other forums, other content, and stuff like that, and I hope you guys enjoy. And with that, guys, we're going to listen to the intro, to the theme song, created by my buddy Steve, who owns Skull Bash Candy, but he's also the producer of this song that you guys are listening to right now with his buddy as well, guys. Young D, thank you guys. This is it for here. We're going to take a listen to this and we're out of here. Thank you guys.
Get ready for the podcast. I address anything on my mind. On time with the lines and the lyrics rhyme. And you know you can press rewind. Yeah. Get ready for the podcast. I address anything on my mind. On time with the lines and the lyrics rhyme. And you know you can press rewind. Wake up to the howling sounds. That's the wolf speaking now. Press record, not say what you say. You wouldn't want to have it any other way. Get ready for the podcast. I address anything on my mind. On time with the lines and the lyrics rhyme. And you know you can press rewind. Yeah. Get ready for the podcast. I address anything on my mind. On time with the lines and the lyrics rhyme. And you know you can press rewind.